Hello YouTube, this is Total War Seraphim bringing you an awesome game from the semifinals of the TRU Tournament for the rest of us. Game 2 between Bobi, TWR Bobi playing as Macedon, and Yawningfirefly playing as Epirus. On a side note, I just want to say that the tournament for FIB, the faction inheritance battle, the sign up has reached 32 players and is now closed. We are accepting a few players for reserve just in case someone drops out or is unable to play. Alright, let's jump right on into this game. Alright, well first we're going to take a look at TWR Bobi's build here. We've got 1 Thessalian cavalry, 2 Thessalians, mercenary Samnites, agrarian axemen, mercenary agrarians, a hoplite, hoplite, and a 4th hoplite, archers, standard archers, more archers, and 4th archer, as well as some mercenary Italian cav, 2 mercenary Italian cav. Here we have 2 Thessalians on the left flank, mercenary Italian, agrarian axemen, and Hellenic Royal Cavalry on the left flank. Now for Bobi, we have mercenary Thracian warrior, hoplite, citizen cav, royal peltis, archers, slingers, royal peltis, skirmisher cav, royal peltis, hoplite, citizen cav, mercenary Thracian warriors, hoplites. So altogether, very, very competitive builds from both players. I would be worried about the Bobi's Macedon core of Royal Peltis. They're extremely hard to kill unless you have the skirmishers for them. And luckily for Yawningfirefly, well, not so luckily, really, he does. He has the archers to do it. And I think this game is a great example of what happens when very strong infantry meets even a group of not terribly strong skirmishers. I also like to say, for Epirus, there are extremely cost-effective and very versatile shock cavalry, and I noticed that he's placed them on the flanks, which I think is an interesting choice. And he has his hoplites in the middle, the 4 hoplites, as essentially a holding, as a bridge to keep those royal peltis from just running right through, and I think that's incredibly intelligent. So we have the 2 armies closing here. Both taking their time, being very cautious of the other. I'm sure that Bobi, playing as Macedon, sees those Thessalians on the flank out front and expects perhaps a frontal charge. I would be worried about that. They are extremely effective and can do a lot of damage right off the charge, or if they get behind your men, they can cause routes to happen quite quickly. So Bobi seems content to form a firing line here and just start to close the distance. He moves up his left flank, which is interesting, and Yawningfirefly decides to refuse his flank just for the moment, maybe hoping to pull the main group towards him, which is exactly what happens. Out here on the other flank, we can see that they're basically in a holding pattern. I assume, again, as most of their attention is on at least one flank battle, and perhaps in Bobi's case, this skirmisher engagement. He's happy to open up on these hoplites. Now the hoplites have a lot of armor, and taking shots frontally won't be terribly effective, but it's the only target that's really presented to him, and as such, better to get shots in early if you can. You'll notice that Yawningfirefly has kept his skirmishers quite a ways behind the main line. I'm assuming that is in order, maybe because he expected to see the royal peltis brought from Macedon. And as such, he knows that he needs to save his ammunition for those royal peltis. I don't think that his infantry is going to be able to handle them if he does not. So again, here we have a close-up of them firing on the main line, and out here on Epirus's right flank, we have an engagement. The Thessalians crash right into the thorax swordsmen and retreat quite quickly. The agrarians are opening up with their projectiles, trying to cause what damage they can. And here comes the main engagement on the right flank as the infantry gets right into it. The Thessalians are pulled out and repositioned, as are as are the citizen cavalry. They seem to be pulling around, not quite sure where they're going, but also Bobi has repositioned his archers to fire pell-mell into this large group, presumably just to get some flank shots. Not a bad idea. So the skirmishers turn their focus onto the citizen cavalry, and the citizen cavalry also gets countercharged by the Thessalians, and they are absolutely not going to like that. That's a brutal combination. You can see the other Thessalians cornering around on the right flank in an attempt for a rear charge. Here we have a mainline engagement as the Royal Peltists charge into the hoplites, and here comes that charge I was speaking about previously, and they just smash right on in there. And man, they are so cost effective. It's not difficult to make them pay for themselves. Picking and choosing your targets can be difficult. The Thessalians come in here on the Royal Peltist General Bobi, and again just smash the lines. A bit of a hit and run, really. So all across the line, we're continuing to see the hoplites trying to hold the line across these incredibly good melee infantry that Bobi's brought from Macedon. Out here we can see the Thessalians have done their job in causing incredible amounts of HP damage and really just discombobulating that entire left flank of Bobi. So here we have the Thessalians on the right flank moving in for a charge on all of these grouped units. I suppose this might be the bane of an independent flank. I may not be the expert on that, but that seems to be what it is. It acts as a holding force for all those units. And here we have a sneaky little maneuver. He moves them into wedge formation, his mercenary Italians, and he goes right after the archers. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's brilliant. But of course, with hoplites and hoplite wall, he probably expected that he would get a chance to do that. And unfortunately for Macedon, there's nothing in the back lines to prevent that, nothing to intercept and maybe just hold while those archers do what they need to do. So already we can see units wavering here all across the main line. The general is under a lot of skirmish fire, and they are not going to like that. And that really is the problem with Royal Peltists as I see them, is that they're extremely susceptible to fire, and it seems that Yawningfirefly is well aware of this. So this Royal Peltist gets caught right in the middle of a lot of concentrated fire, and you'll see that they drop extraordinarily fast as compared to, say, an infantry-on-infantry engagement where they do quite well. Here the Thessalian general has gotten into the backs of these units, doing what it does best, charging in there and causing absolute havoc. The mercenary Italians are attempting to charge the skirmisher cav, which is doing great, getting shots off on targets of opportunity. This Thessalian is breaking against the Royal Peltist. I presume that it's probably paid for itself a few times over. The hoplites are in hoplite wall and are holding fairly well against these Royal Peltists, just simply because Yawningfirefly is able to get his archers in there and do damage, and there doesn't seem to be any pressure on them by Macedonian cavalry. I can understand why. There's a lot of micro going on, and he might not even have the units to spare. Here the Thessalians come in for another rear charge, and this is what I was talking about. They're so effective at just charging into the backs, even fronts, and they do so much damage so quickly that it really impacts the morale. It seems to me very quickly. Very cost effective, and definitely a unit worth bringing for Epirus. The Royal Peltist is still out here being held by the Axemen just as a holding force. The Peltists will chew through them quite quickly. All over the line, Epirus is freeing up cavalry and using it to great detriment against Macedon. It's leading a rear charge here against the hoplites, and as such is extremely effective. Some of it is being diverted to take care of the rest of the skirmishers, just so they don't make it back into the game. And the archers are now repositioning to the middle of the field, and the Thessalians continue to lead an all-out assault on the back lines of Bobi, playing as Macedon. There really is not much he can do to stop them, and that is entirely understandable. This other mercenary Italian is free to roam the back. This mercenary Italian is going to be basically charged right into the Royal Peltist. Again, I think primarily as a holding force. It'll do damage, but I believe that he's repositioning his archers at the moment in order to get better shots on it. And once those archers are positioned, it's over for that general. It might even be over sooner than that if that cavalry is able to do its job. So you can see the archers here repositioning, ready to take shots on the general, I imagine, or the other hoplite if they can. Here we see the general, the Thessalian the Royal Hellenic has brought another rear charge into the units, just causing mass wavering. The hoplite from Macedon here now is wavering. There's not a terrible lot he can do at this point, so it seems like it's going to be game over. The Italian cav has cleaned up the general, and so we have a costly victory here. I want to say this was an absolutely great game played by both players. I really enjoyed both of these in the semifinal. Far be it to me to offer advice, because honestly, I lose to both these players on a regular basis. There's a few wins, a couple. I might have them saved, I might not. But I would just like to say this is absolutely amazing. If you take a look at this, the Thessalians, 103 kills. The cavalry, 236. Mercenary Italians, 236. Royal Peltas, some of them doing well, 198, 127, but two of them, 63 and 114, they just got chewed up. They absolutely got chewed up by archer fire, and there really isn't much you can do when that's the case. I think it, if Bobi had known Yawningfirefly's build, he might have brought more cavalry. He might have engaged his skirmishers against Yawningfirefly's skirmishers, knowing that Yawningfirefly would target all of the Royal Peltas. He might have done that, but hindsight's 20/20, and you really don't know what's happened until after the game is played. And any player of this game, I'm sure, is aware of that. So I would like to thank both contestants, Yawningfirefly and TWR Bobi, for their involvement in this battle. I really appreciate it, and I really can't wait to see what they do next. Thank you very much. Be well.